So hi guys, and welcome back to one of my videos. Paolo here, GT40 Motor Works, and the lady I would like to introduce in this explainer video today is quite famous racer of the GT, and it is the first one of a series that it's the second one honestly, of a series that I am making for myself. I want to have in scale, in 1/24 scale, the main scale for this kind of models. I wanted to have nearly the complete collection of the Ferrari GTs, so starting from, I dare to say, starting from the 360 GT, and I already took the parts to make it, but I didn't build it already, Instead, I built the F430 in the Red Bull color. That will be another object of the future videos, that is really the first one. I didn't finish in the typical red and so on. I finished it in Adrian Newey color, so it was the Red Bull car, because I liked that metallic blue. It was the very first conversion that I made back in time. I think it was 2008 or 2009, I guess. My very first conversion about such kind of cars. And this was the second one of the series that was that I built, so the third in the real series. That was the 458 GT2 that I built up before any model arrived on the market. I think that nowadays you can find it. I think the best model around to make it should be the APM model in 1/24 scale. You find it in Japan eBay, or you can take from Studio 27 the conversion that they did for this kind of body, because the body is hugely modified. Instead, what I did here, we have to go back in time in 2011, I guess. Yeah, because the car is related to Le Mans 2011. 2011, there was absolutely nothing around this model, I just remember that you can only have plastic kits of the street version, and you cannot have the racer. Instead, I seen some picture of the racer, and I immediately fall in love. They were mostly related when I started the building up of the model. It was the presentation car, so they had a slightly different BBS rims with the golden insert in the middle, no sponsor, little different wing, a little different minor details. So what I did here, at the time you just can have, I think like today, about the 458, you can just have the models or from Revel or from Fujimi. Fujimi is always finer in the plastics, is a little nicer model, But despite that, you have a plastic that remains always, in my opinion, also too thin for this kind of modification, because if you have to go in a huge modification of the body like this one here, you need to have a little more thick plastic to work over, to sand, to filler it again, so you need a little more comfortable area to work with, you know what I mean, So for this particular model, I started at the time using the Revel kit. Revel kit was absolutely well done, I think, in the body, related on the street car, the street coupe, and it had a very, very thick plastic. The plastic itself in the quality is not so great in quality, but this is not because of Revel mold. This is because I guess that Revel, probably being German company, so ecological and always looking at the problematics that today Greta from Sweden is attacking everybody using a little bit plastic, so Greta, I hope that you will not kill me. I live in Sweden, so you know where you can get me, but now my point is that Revel is mostly using recycled plastic, so the property of the plastic is not good like the Japanese one. I don't think that Japanese or Chinese stuff is made with recycled plastic. You see that because the surface of the plastic becomes a little more fat, a little more crispy, it's not so pure and nicely molded like the Tamiya parts, to have a clear idea. So if you take a box from Revel and the box from Tamiya, and you open, you just see the plastic, the quality of the body parts and so on. You see at once what I mean. Sometimes they are raw, sometimes they are glossy, so you don't understand. Instead, in Tamiya, for example, the last AMG Mercedes is absolutely a dream, because it's made really like the perfection in car. I just buy the latest Tamiya model, not because I want to buy them, but because I want to see the status of the art in this very nice production, And so this 558 GT2 had biggest modification is the wheel arch. This was probably the first case where I went deep in modification of the body, because you have to increase a lot the front wheel arch here and here, so all the shape of the front end became different. This was the first one of a series of 3 458 GT I made. I made 2 GT2 and 1 GT3 body, and this was the first edition because they modified the car little by little during the season. I think this car raced until 2014, 2015, you know, and it was the one made by AF Corse from Piacenza. So it is one of the biggest preparator of the main production. I guess the main production of the GTs is anyway made still at today by the Michelotto company in Padova. So it's Michelotto making the GT body, the GT conversion, exactly like the Yas Motorsport made for the NSX. Then there is other satellite teams that took the part, finished by Michelotto, so the main car is made by Michelotto, and then they finish with the setup, with the proper specification, company by company. There is Rinaldi in Germany, there is AF Corse, there is so many really making this work, you know. And anyway, the body that Michelotto did, Michelotto is probably the best Italian preparator ever of Ferrari, you know. Michelotto makes 333, Michelotto made everything that is not a Formula car, so the real place to be for them is this Michelotto Padova. Famous since from the time of Pininfarina and Bertone. It was coming from that era, so it's an incredible company, you know. And they made now some conversion in the body because the car itself became so wide. They also made this body kit for replica for the real owners. So we have in Sweden an actor that owns a Ferrari 458 that is made like exactly like a GT, but it's a road car. And it's incredible to see on the road. He painted in black. I crossed it one time. I think it was him, surely, because there is not so many around. I want to make a tuning over a real Ferrari 458, you know. And so the biggest modification became around the wheel arch that are made to host much bigger and wider tires and different rims. I think they are 18 or 19. I don't remember it right now. And so this part had been completely rebuilt. Back in time I used mostly milliput for this purpose, and I see that it's still behaving decently, the milliput, so it means that the catalyzation that I did was okay, was not with problems. Then you have to enlarge all the front end. So the front end you have to cover the lines of the bonnet and so on, and you have to work even with milliput to go in the width of the model. Thanks God I found a blueprint about a car used in a game that looks quite precise. I mean, at the end, the shape and the look of the GT2 was taken, you know. It's different, of course, also the front end. Down here they have a different higher intakes for the brakes, and of course there is a main wing under the front part. Of course, the side down here, down to the door, becomes different and much more lower compared to the street car. And of course the back became completely different because all this lower area under the lights is totally different. And from here you can see the engine. In this car I placed a complete full engine because from the real hatch you can see the modification that they did. So there is a different air filters. There is so many pictures of this car around, so you can absolutely find it. And part of the roll cage is visible, and also the interior. I finished the car in the Le Mans configuration, so they had a kind of air cooler, kind of air conditioning for the pilot, and of course different roll cage. I found the 3D online from a guy that also made a comment in my previous video about the build-up of this car, and it was absolutely useful because you can copy, despite there is so many pictures around, so if you search carefully you absolutely can find it. I don't know if I can suggest you to make this conversion by your own, because this was very hard to do, honestly, because in general you had to every time to check the picture if you are maintaining the proper proportions, you know, and look if you are close to the real object. And this, unfortunately, this kind of GT are very easy to be substituted by the following model. You know, today there is racing one that is very similar, but it is a 488 GT, and of course is part of this collection. I think the model of the 488 GT is made by Model Factory here, and I took it and will make a review about that. I still didn't assemble it, but I will absolutely make a video and say my opinion about that wonderful model. It's wonderful, so I already tell you, take it if you can. It's a Ferrari series. It's also a good investment because you buy them today for 2,000-3,000 kroner and Swedish kroner, sorry, and 250 euros, and in a short time they can become really stuff that you take big money for them, you know. And so it's worth it. Buy the Model Factory Hero because the 480 is a must, and you don't have to cross by these via crucis to finish the model and to have the car. The car itself is a stunner, so I think just to look at her, it's really super nice. Also this livery with the Italian flag color made by AF, of course, they always take the Italian flag over the car, so it's very characteristic and very, very nice looking, you know, Italian red, Italian flag, so much Italian stuff, you know. And last but not least is about the wheels. This is an insert that I made by my own. I think after Roberto Jacobone gave me the master of his, he had a very, very nice, I think it was made at the time in 3D. So he made the master wheel of this BBS the rim inside, and I made the reverse channel of the wheel in this way using a Tamiya slick tire for the back and from the front. You know, I think there is some companies around selling their own slick tire, but you have to be very careful because some of them, I don't want to mention the name, but you know what I mean. Some of them have the problem that I had in another model that they used to be cut, so probably the resin used for the rubber is not so good quality one. And once again, don't make me name the name, but you know that if you search for spare wheels for racing car, you know where you arrive. Instead, in this model, I used the Tamiya wheels. Tamiya wheels are always perfect, so the rubber will never cut. And if you don't place shitty product over or shitty stuff on the decals, you will not have surprise also during the years. This was a model from 2011, made with Decal Doc Decal. The maker at the time was Frank Hashtag from Decal Doc. And he made a very good work, I think, in the design. You know, as usual, Frank make the double layer of the decal because, of course, printing in a kind of homemade process, you cannot have the white and the red that are real covering color. So Frank made a double layer of the decal. So each decal that you see here is double. So it's a double layer of very. The film he uses is extremely thin, and anyway there is a layer of silver under every kind of decal. This because the silver give proper lights to the upper color, even more when they are light color like the green, the white and the red. The first time that you will try to print your own decal, you will see that if you try to print a yellow, nothing arrived on the film, so it became like a kind of transparent yellowish color that you can absolutely not use. So with this trick, Frank was able to give a proper light to the decal. Quite good in quality, you know. At the time I didn't find, because they still didn't make it at the time, the Studio 27 that they makes the decal for this car, because they made the model. So of course the Studio 27 company make also an extra sheet that you can buy online that is related to this car number 51, 458, remember, not the 88. And that's it. Also, of course, the front bonnet have been modified. There is 3 holes. This is quite ordinary stuff that you can do if you have the proper drawings, you know. But as said, the conversion is quite huge. So my tip it is just to keep an eye to eBay Japan, and if you can, despite it cost some money, you know, I don't dare to say big or small money, because when you want an object is always around the volunteer that you want to have to buy such stuff, you know. And my tip is anyway to buy the APM and don't start this kind of conversion, because they are, even more when it is the first time that you do that, they can be absolutely hard to do and quite frustrating, because you don't see the shape of the car unless you have closed it, unless you have it in your hands, and then the satisfaction arrives. But to arrive to that point, it's absolutely very, very hard point. And moreover, if you have the model, whatever it is the model, and the model is decent, always go for the model, because it's absolutely easier to arrive to have the model finished in the conversion. There is so much stuff that you start and you cannot finish, you cannot manage, and then you get the press and then you simply give it to the dog, you know. That's it. So this was the first one of my GT cars. There will be other 2 videos, because I made another 458 GT2 in a JW whatever. It's a yellow car anyway, and I made it. This is a GT2 with the Union Jack flag over, so I like the flags, and you know, when there is a flag, I want to do the car. And the third one is a Ferrari 458 GT3, finished in Valentino Rossi VR46 Monster Color Flat Black. So follow my videos and little by little I will update everything. Thank you guys, see you in the next.